Welcome to New Hampshire. This is Silver Lake, and I live on Silver Lake. It is a rather serene, hazy morning in this part of my world, and you are looking at the White Mountain chain in the backdrop, which surrounds this beautiful lake. And there you see, and I will zoom in, Mount Shikarawa. It is the most significant and outstanding mountain in this lake's backdrop. Along the White Mountain chain, there is Mount Adams, Mount Madison, and the largest peak in the state of New Hampshire, Mount Washington. Now back from the water's edge to a natural setting where I live, where animals abound. And where good Carnival glass is kept. In the front of this house will come several pieces, over 200 in fact, of Carnival glass vases for your viewing. Good morning, and I hope you'll enjoy this presentation. Mo Myers, Silver Lake, New Hampshire. In this very first frame, we see alphabetically April Showers, a Fenton product, on the left in cobalt blue and on the right in frosty white. The measuring stick between the vases will help you identify the height, and we will present this type of illustration throughout the film. In this frame, you see Fenton's Aristocrat Bud Vase in marigold. There are stretched bud vases that followed this vase, which I will now present in the next frame by Fenton. Now you can see the pulled stretched bud vases in the Aristocrat pattern. On the right, pastel Vaseline green, and on the left, blue. Here you see a auto vase without the auto holder. It's the plain marigold with the clear base. They come in crackle and other various auto vase patterns, but this is an example of an auto vase. You are now looking at the Imperial Glass Company's Balloons pattern. It's in smoke, it's bulbous and highly iridized. And in this frame you see banded rib. It's a Czechoslovakian vase, marigold, with two black bands that encircle the bottom part of the vase like a ring on a finger. Highly iridized, very beautiful vase.
You are now looking at the beaded bullseye pattern by the Imperial Glass Company, and on the left we have kind of an electricized purple, and on the right we have Vaseline or lime green. This also glows under the black lamp. Very beautiful, kind of scarce color in this pattern. We are now looking at a bud vase by the Fostoria Glass Company called Beaded Teardrop. It's in kind of a yellow glass, highly iridized, unusual feet, and pulled at the top. In this presentation, we see the beauty bud on the left by Dugan and the beauty bud with twigs on the right by Dugan. The base supports the difference. Other than that, they're almost identical. You can see the three little tree-like feet, like roots on the right. You are now looking at Big Basket Weave, a Dugan product in black amethyst and highly iridized. This is the squatty version. It's not pulled. Its sides are straight up and has points. This differentiates it from the base of the Persian garden fruit bowl or punch set. When pulled, it will look like the frosty white one that you'll see in a second. You can now see the frosty white one on the right, also highly iridized, but it is swung out. Here we see Bird with Grapes by Dugan, also known as Cockatoo. It's a wall vase, highly rich in marigold and iridization. A beauty. In this frame, we see a couple of whimsies. This is blackberry open edge vases with the blackberry on the interior, the open edge baskets at the top. Very lovely pair. Rare vases. This is Boggy Bayou. Can't believe Edwards. You must believe me. This vase is highly iridized. It's purple. It has a radium finish on the interior. It has the markings. It's made by Westmoreland Glass Company and may be made by them. It certainly has many more arrows than does Dugan's vases. It doesn't have the same base pattern made by Dugan or by Imperial. It has 7 arrows reaching from the base to the top as opposed to 5 on pull loop or 3 on the Arches vases. Here we see brocaded acorns in an ice blue. This pattern has a gold trim across the top rim of the vase. This is the Fostoria Glass Company's acid etched pattern. Very lovely, highly iridized vase. And again we see a Fostoria pattern in the fan shaped, a kind of green, ice green, dark ice green vase with the gold trim along the top, along the font, and on the very base rim. This brocaded palms fan vase is highly iridized and also a very lovely specimen of Carnival glass. And as you can see in this frame, Fostoria also came out with a silver edging at the top and on the bottom of this brocaded pattern, also brocaded palms. It has a cobalt base, and thereon it's clear all the way to the top, and it's highly iridized inside and out. And in this frame, I show you a very rare and unusual piece of yellow glass. It has an octagonal footing. It is very thick, heavy glass, highly iridized inside and out, probably made by Fostoria. It has 3 similar patterns around the body of this vase. There are leaves from a broken branch, and therein its name, Broken Branch. Highly intaglio pattern. Here we see Bull's Eye and Beads by the Fentonot Glass Company in cobalt blue. Quite rare, but depicted in Marion Hartung series books. In this frame, we see Bullseye and Loop pattern by the Millersburg Art Glass Company in purple, highly iridized, a rare piece. In this frame, we see Butterfly and Berry pattern by the Fentonot Glass Company in marigold. This vase is not pulled as much, and therefore the butterfly is discernible on the face of the vase. In this frame, we have what Edwards calls the candle holder vase. It's in ice green, very highly iridized, very beautiful vase. However, Sherman Hand finds this vase in other shapes, and he calls them whimsies. We will present them alongside of this candle holder vase for some identification. Now we can see on the left in the jack and pulpit shape a marigold, and on the right in the hat shape a frosty white. A quick look at the bases will see that all are identical, all without a pattern, all in the same size of mold, all with the same base glass coming up the stem, but they are shaped differently. So it appears that Fenton has made various whimsy shapes in this pattern for your beautification. And now we show you from Kokomo, Indiana, the Jenkins Art Glass version of Cane and Daisy Cut. Very large, thick glass, highly iridized, intaglio, a beautiful vase. You are now looking at Cathedral, also known as Curved Star. It's a chalice vase, marigold, very deep, rich, highly iridized piece. Taglio, European. And in this frame we see a pair of circle scrolled whimsy vases by the Dugan Art Glass Company. Highly iridized, black amethyst, beautiful vases. Here we have Classical Arts. Have that cupric green top with the light marigold base vase paneled on the bottom, with the 9 nude figures around the top playing classical instruments, hence Classical Arts vase. This large, heavy glass, light marigold to clear at the top, highly iridized, appears to be a U.S. glass colonial vase. And here we see the much smaller colonial variant in marigold, highly iridized, beautiful little vase. And here we have perhaps one of the most richly iridized vases in Carnival. This is Colonial Lady. This Colonial Lady is made by the Imperial Art Glass Company. It's almost Tiffany-like in its colors. It's just a sweet, beautiful little vase. And here is another beautiful vase by the Imperial Art Glass Company. It's known as Columbia. It's in smoke, highly iridized, very feminine, beautiful vase. You are now looking at the concave flute pattern. This is a Westmoreland Glass Company product. On the left, purple. In the center, a rose bowl in marigold. And on the right, teal. Both are radium finished on the inside and outside. Very highly iridized, beautiful vases. It should be pointed out that you could turn these vases upside down and match them with the bottom of that rose bowl and learn that these vases were pulled from the rose bowl shape. In this frame, you are looking at Corinth. This is another Westmoreland glass product. Also, it has radium finish on the inside. On the right, teal, and on the left, yellow glass. It has the jester cap top, highly iridized, very beautiful pieces of glass. In this frame, we see Northwood's corn vase in frosty white. Here we see the Fenton Art Glass Company's cornucopia vase in marigold. The difference between it and the candle holder is that there is a piece of glass that rises up inside that'll hold the candle. In this, there is none, therefore it is the vase shape. You are now looking at Crackle, a wall vase by the Dugan Art Glass Company in rich marigold. In this frame, we see crimped topaz. This is by the Fenton Art Glass Company. It's in a rose color. It also has a cut pattern engraved into the upper rim and across the midsection of the body. This thick cylindrical vase, intaglio and cut, is cut flowers by the Jenkins Art Glass Company. Very rich, highly iridized, beautiful vase. This three-footed beauty is Daisy and Drape vase by the Northwood Art Glass Company. Comes in an array of colors, just a beautiful vase. Diamond rib vase. Beautiful frosty white pattern by the Fenton Art Glass Company. Comes in many colors. I refer to this pattern as diamond point and columns. I believe this to be an Imperial Art Glass product. It has the Imperial many-rayed star base. It has the Imperial color glass, and the diamonds emanate from the bottom and work their way all the way to the top in a close quilted pattern. This is not true of the Fenton product, which I will show next. This Fenton diamond point columns has significantly more pronounced diamonds arrayed at the bottom, and then they break down and do not appear clustered all the way up the vase, but appear as another cluster at the top of the vase in pronounced diamonds, almost like diamond hobnails. The columns also end up in diamond points at each end of the ribs, and is not secondary pattern on the base. It is just slightly domed cobalt blue, and therefore a Fenton product. You are now looking at what Edwards calls diamond point columns. He calls it diamond flute. However, the other Carnival Glass and Depression era called this Aunt Polly pattern. In any case, it is richly iridized in a nice deep marigold vase. And in this frame we see Northwood's diamond points. On the right, ice green, and on the left, ice blue, in the two most presented shapes. We now show you Northwood's diamond point variant on the left in marigold. You can see by examining the tops of this vase that the one on the right in ice green, has a significant large diamond that emanates from the smaller diamonds and forms the flames. And on the left, there is no such large diamond, and the diamonds stop about 3/4 of an inch from the top, and therefore it is a variant. You are now looking at the Imperial Art Glass Company Diamond and Stars pattern, also known in the Imperial catalog as the Mount Vernon pattern. It is richly iridized in marigold halfway up. It is just iridized and clear on the lower half. Cylindrical, very heavy glass, beautiful vase. We are now looking at Northwood's drapery pattern. In the left, aqua, and on the right, aqua opal, just so you can see the difference. And now we show you drapery in ice green on the left, and the drapery variant in deep purple on the right. Both are highly iridized, but the significant point is the drapery has 3 columns or ribs that extend from the top of the vase beyond the lower base glass. And on the right, the variant does not extend beyond the base lip, but starts at the lip and works its way up the vase to about 1 3/4 inches from the top and stops at a circular collar. We will now show you the difference between the drapery variant and the variant to that. There. Now you can see the drapery variant on the right and the drapery variant to the variant on the left. On the left we have 4 ribs that extend from the top of the vase all the way down beyond the base glass. And on the right we have 4 ribs that do not extend beyond the base and do only go to that circled at the top of the vase. We are now depicting Dugan's paneled vases. On the right we see the paneled jack in the pulpit shape in deep amethyst, and on the left in peach opal the triangular candy ribbon edge shape in peach opal. Very beautiful examples of the Dugan Art Glass Company's glasswork. We now look at the estate vase, attributed also to the Dugan Art Glass Company. This is in lime green, highly iridized, pinched in on 3 sides, triangular top, very highly reflective in the black lamp, a beautiful vase. In this frame we point out the Fenton fan vases in the luster and clear pattern in marigold, and it has a silver overlay in masted ships on both the small and the large version. You are now looking at a very frosty white, domed based, luster and clear fan vase. This may have been made by either the Fenton Art Glass Company or the Imperial Art Glass Company, since both depict this shape and pattern. In this frame we show you the Fenton fan vase called Diving Dolphin. It's in pink, highly iridized, kind of onion skin stretch, but a very beautiful vase. Fenton also made this ice green fan vase in a very rich, stretchy, iridized shape, which I think resembles the clam on the bottom of the ocean. Very, very beautiful Corinth type pattern. You are now feasting your eyes upon the Northwood Feathers pattern in ice blue, highly iridized, just one beautiful vase. And here is another beauty, a rare U.S. glass product, Feather Swirl. Kind of a yellow, light marigold color, highly iridized, kind of a radium interior, beautiful vase, somewhat like the field thistle pattern found in Marion Hartung's series books. We are now looking at field thistle by the U.S. Glass Company. It's almost in the jack in the pulpit top. It's light yellow glass, light marigold, highly iridized, very rare, very beautiful. In this frame we see the Imperial Glass Company's file. This is a whimsy from a spooner as opposed to the true vase. This is a whimsy vase in marigold, highly iridized, beautiful. You are now looking at Fine Rib pattern by Northwood in frosty white. And in this frame we have Fenton's Fine Rib pattern. This is in panels, so the ribs are in each panel as it encircles the vase from top to bottom. This is in red, highly iridized, very beautiful vase. And in this frame we have the Imperial Fine Rib vase in light marigold, highly iridized. It has the radium interior, many starred base, beautiful vase. You are now looking at the Czechoslovakian fish vase, which Sherman Hand depicts on the face of one of his books. This is in frosty white with a marigold carp, and it has Jane written on the bottom as well as just under the fish where he has his tongue sticking out. We are now looking at what appears to be Dugan's fish scale and panels vase in marigold, top to bottom, richly iridized. We now see another Czechoslovakian vase in fleur-de-lis pattern in very dark marigold, very richly iridized. This I was fortunately able to acquire from John Brett. And in this frame we see the frosty white Florentine hat vase by Fenton. This is depicted in Marion Hartung's book series. And now we see Fenton's sweet pea or large Florentine hat, which looks more like a spittoon vase. It's as wide as it is tall. It is 6 inches across and 6 inches tall. Rich marigold. And now we see the Northwood flute vase. It's 6.5 inches tall, marigold, lightly iridized. And we follow Northwood with the Fenton flute in cobalt blue, highly iridized. Tom Burns likes to refer to this as the Fenton blank. And now we see the Imperial flute vase, has the radial star base, light marigold turning to a darker marigold, iridized inside and out. And now you see the Dugan flute vase in purple. It has the serrated top. It has the strawberry star on the base. It's highly iridized inside and out. Very lovely vase. And in this frame we see the stemmed flute by U.S. Glass, light marigold, tapered and rimmed. Very lovely little vase. In this frame we see the footed prism panels vase by Sowerby Manufacturing Company of England. Deep marigold, very heavy stature, but a very lovely vase. We now present footed rib. It is also known as four pillars vase. Northwood made this beautiful vase, which is lime green. It's a pastel Vaseline, and it's highly radiant in the black lamp, and it's butterscotch marigold at the top. And now you see Northwood's footed rib and panels. It also has the 4 main ribs that emanate into supporting feet at the base, but in between those master ribs you see a finer rib, which is how it got its name. This is in Celeste blue, very lovely vase. And in this frame we see Dugan's formal vase in the jack and pulpit shape. Again, it's very richly iridized. It's black amethyst, but very, very Tiffany-like in its presentation. And now you are looking at the tulip-shaped 474 vase by Imperial Glass in marigold. Very heavy glass, has the octagonal base and serrated top, richly iridized, highly sought after. Here we see the Imperial frosted block pattern in marigold, richly iridized inside and out. You are now looking at Golden Flowers vase, Jeanette Glass Company. In this frame we see the large Gothic arches vases. You will note that we have marigold, dark marigold, highly iridized on the right, and the ice blue variety on the left. The tops of these vases have distinguished 6 knobby points, and every other point is by itself separated from the 5 V's that make up the arches of this vase. In this frame we present the Northwood Graceful pattern. This Graceful is in deep purple, and you will note that there are 6 panels at the base rising to several rings at the midsection and then turning into plain parts of the vase heading for the ruffles. You must notice that these features are significantly different from the Imperial Graceful, which we will present now. As you can see, this Imperial Graceful has a secondary base pattern. It also has less flutes rising from the base to the rings, and then the flutes continue beyond the rings all the way up through to the ruffles. And this Helios green is quite symbolic of the Imperial Manufacturing Glass Company. The one on the left in purple is signed Northwood, and the one on the right, of course, is not. But in this frame you see the right hand vase in marigold. Note the watch at the bottom of the wrist and the thumb on the right, which is, if you were holding your right hand up in front of your face, you would see it shaped like this, holding a wine glass. We now look at the handled vase by the Imperial Glass Company in marigold. We will now show a variety of this vase. You are now looking at the handled fluted fan vase. The flutes are on both sides of this fan, and when you look through it they cross over so that you see a diamond pattern as you're looking at it. It's richly iridized from 2/3 of the way up. Very unusual. We are now looking at heavy diamonds, an imperial glass product in deep marigold, highly iridized. In this frame we see the lightly iridized heavy drape. It is pulled from a toothpick, Fostoria Glass Company product. You are now looking at heavy prisms, English Sowerby product, Taglio, iridized inside and out, deep marigold. In this frame we see icy 357 pattern. The top and the rings are encircled with a little black line, rich marigold inside and out. We are now looking at a miniature, a little Czechoslovakian bud vase with the bell-like bottom in purple or rose, and the marigold top with a black ring around the top rim, iridized inside and out. In this frame we see a product of the Anchor Hawking Glass Company. It is opalescent, it is yellow glass, it is Vaseline opal, highly iridized inside and out. Manufacturer approximately 1916, very rare. This hobnail pattern is not to be confused with the Fenton nor the Depression era hobnail vase. You are now looking at hobnail panels. It's large, very large, heavy glass, fan vase shape. Looks like a Fenton product. Looks like bubbles from the bottom of the ocean on a clam. Octagonal base, yellow glass, most likely U.S. glass. Hobnail swirl pattern by the Millersburg Glass Company. Radium finish interior, lightly iridized, light marigold, bound in green and purple. In this frame we see the imperial celery vase known as Hobstar Band. Although found in marigold, this is the only one reported in dark green. It is iridized and a radium side finish interior. And here we see Hobstar reversed, depicted in Edwards, an English manufactured vase, dark marigold, iridized inside and out. Here is an interesting pattern on this base. Fleur-de-lis, beaded shells. This is a very rare and very unusual vase. Inscribed on this vase is Hale's Bathhouse, Hot Springs, Arkansas, 1903, yellow glass. The marking on the bottom appears to be Heisey. Very rare, very beautiful. Not quite so rare, we see the Fenton Idol vase. IDYLL. Marigold, iridized inside and out. We also find Then on the side we have a pond and pond lilies, whereas the side we're looking at now we see an array of butterflies. In this frame we see interior panels with an elliptical mouth. Marigold, common, imperial glass. In this frame we see the interior rays pattern. Smooth outside cylinders, on the left marigold, on the right purple, imperial glass, richly iridized. Here we see Imperial's interior flute vase, richly iridized marigold, iris and herringbone vase, Jeanette Glass Company, marigold, rather richly iridized for this pattern, rather common. Here we see Fenton's Jack in the Pulpit vase in cobalt blue, richly iridized. We will follow that with the Northwood version. Here is the Northwood Jack in the Pulpit in marigold. In this frame we see the Imperial Jewels pattern. It has the iron cross on the bottom. This ruffled, kind of stretched beauty is in green. You are now looking at Katy. It's one of 4 shapes offered by the Imperial Glass Company in this line. It is very richly iridized inside and out, including in the open lace. It's 4-footed, it's knurled, it's light, but it's a very beautiful product. And here we see Fenton's miniature Kittens vase, pinched in on 4 sides in marigold, well iridized, also comes in blue. One look at this base should tell you that it's Fenton's cobalt knotted beads. And as you can see, it has the candy ribbon top. And in this frame, we see lattice and leaves. As far as I know, the only one reported. Kind of looks like a sister to footed prism panels. Probably made by the same company, Sowerby. Has the same sort of base design and heavy glass and iridization. Marigold. Rather nice. In this frame we have lattice and points. On the left, frosty white, and on the right, purple. However, the vase on the right, in purple, has an inscription on it from the Indiana foundry of Dugan, and it reads, "Compliments, Indiana Factory Company." Here we see Northwood's leaf column pattern. On the right in ice green, on the left in purple, both highly iridized. And in this frame you see the Westmoreland leaf swirl vase in purple. This large fishbowl bulbous vase is Lily of the Valley, intaglio from the inside out, richly iridized in marigold, Czechoslovakian. In this frame we see the lined lattice pattern in purple by Dugan. The Imperial Glass Company's Loganberry pattern in Helios green, very richly iridized, has been reproduced, but you will not see the 9 ruffles at the top in the reproduction. Long thumbprint pattern by the Dugan Art Glass Company in green. Yes, one of the very rare productions that Dugan did in green. Another large bulbous lamp vase by the Phoenix Art Glass Company, Lovebirds pattern in red. Imperial's Luster and Clear trumpet-shaped vase in pastel marigold. Luster and Clear fan vase, plain, Fenton Art Glass Company. This is maize, the Indian name for corn. This large vase made by the Libby Glass Company. Highly iridized marigold, very well done. In this frame we see Dugan's Marianne vase. Very lovely arrangement, nice pattern, nice handles, very fancy. Here we see the U.S. Glass Company's Massachusetts pattern. Celery, light marigold, very rare. As you can see, looking at the base of this vase, it's very unusual. It has 5 toes, or 5-footed. And the rib emanates from the middle of the foot, and there are 5 of them that spiral around this vase all the way to the top. And there it gets its name, Maypole. This rich marigold vase, maker unknown. We present in this frame the Imperial Miniature Morning Glory vase in marigold. And now we see the larger Jack-in-the-Pulpit shaped Morning Glory vase in marigold. And now we see, with a 5-inch base diameter, a large purple Morning Glory. And even larger yet, we see a funeral vase Morning Glory that is over 20 inches tall, in smoke, highly iridized, a true beauty, and it is unusual. We'll look at the base of this vase. Yes, it is domed, and on the inside of the dome there is a secondary pattern, Wreath of Stars pattern. Highly unusual, but there it is. And in this frame we see the base of another Dugan Whimsy vase. It is known as Nautilus. It's a miniature. Those are the seashells pattern at the bottom. Black amethyst, highly iridized. And here we see another rarity, Imperial Old Number 5, or Imperial Fleur-de-Lis vase in dark marigold, richly iridized. And in this frame, we see the imperial octagon pattern in a trumpet-shaped marigold vase, richly iridized. And here we see the Millersburg, Ohio Star pattern vase, dark amethyst, richly iridized, sought after by collectors. You are now looking at a U.S. glass product called Palm Beach Honey Amber. It's in the regular vase shape, but now we will show you a bulbous shape. There it is, the bulbous Honey Amber Palm Beach by U.S. Glass. Rather unusual, quite beautiful. In this frame, we see Fenton's 3 Diamonds and Bows vase in cobalt blue. Edwards, of course, followed this up by calling it Boggy Bayou. It is not. Some people call it 3 Diamonds, but it is Diamonds and Bows. One look at the bottom of these vases will tell you the pattern. Parlor panels, significantly more impressive than Morning Glory. However, they are both made by the Imperial Glass Company. On the right, deep purple, very beautifully iridized. And on the left, a very unusual butterscotch. You are looking at Peacock in the Garden vase in Mandarin Red by the Fenton Art Glass Company. These vases are very rare and highly sought after. You are now looking at Peacock lamp vase in purple. Extremely beautiful, very richly iridized. I mean, it is just Tiffany. Won't get this color in the red one. Dugan's Pinched Swirl vase in peach opal. Smooth exterior, pinched in on 3 sides, like the estate vase. You are now looking at the pinwheel pattern. The large marigold on the left, and the smaller purple on the right. English intaglio vases, richly iridized, beautiful examples of Carnival glass vases. And here we see a plain panel vase by Fenton, marigold, no bottom panel, and without a bottom pattern and richly iridized, it stands as just a simple vase. You are now looking at plume panels by Fenton in purple. Comes in red. Very nice vase and not to be confused with feathers. The very large bulbous Poppy Show vase by Imperial in Helios green. Again, the 9 ruffle top differentiates it from the Repro. Here we see Primrose and Fishnet vase in red. This cylindrical vase looks like an olive jar. It has the fishnet all around the rest of the vase, and the primrose is in the front and is well iridized. Quite rare. Cost a few dollars. You are now looking at prism and daisy band vase, kind of an hourglass shape, deep marigold, richly iridized, great imperial vase. Another imperial rarity, propeller, in marigold. Sort of looks like a parfait or something you'd want ice cream in. You are now looking at pulled loop by the Dugan Art Glass Company in peach opal. These loops are heavily headed arrows, number 5 from the bottom to the top. And in this frame we see another imperial vase called Ranger in smoke, richly iridized, quite scarce. Another imperial vase, reversed swirl, hourglass shape. The pattern is strictly interior, richly iridized. We are now looking at the rib and panel vase, very large ruffled vase depicted in Sherman Hand's book, marigold, richly iridized, a big vase. And here we have a ribbed fan vase. If one refers to the Dugan Diamond production book and Carnival Glass by William Heacock, James Measle, and Barry Wiggins, and turns to page 120, we will see what he calls Adam's rib fan vase. Apparently Eve didn't count. In any case, there's a beautiful marigold vase for you to look at. We are now looking at the ribbed tulip vase by Imperial, marigold, clear stem. In this frame we see what Edwards calls rings. Marigold from top to bottom, richly iridized. In this frame we see the imperial ripple vase. The ripple pattern on the left is in amber and on the right in smoke. These vases range in size from miniatures to very, very large funeral vases. Here is a little miniature called Rococo, rather clear to marigold top, ruffled, very pretty. You are now looking at the rare Rose Garden vase in cobalt blue in the oblong shape. Ada Glass Works of Sweden. I will zoom in so you can get a much clearer picture of this intaglio beauty. A quick look at this base will tell you the pattern is rustic. You can see the frosty white on the left and the mid-size funeral emerald green on the right. Just so you can see it, there's the cobalt blue funeral vase in rustic. Now we present the rustic variant in marigold on the left. It's not the candy ribbon edge that's the variant, There are no hobnails at the top, middle, or bottom of this vase. As you can see by comparison of the bases, has a significant omission of hobnails, hence it must be a hobnail variant by the Fenton Art Glass Company. Scroll and flower panels by Imperial in marigold, a very large vase. The Czechoslovakian seagulls vase in powder blue, richly iridized, beautiful vase. You are now looking at 731 in smoke by the Imperial Glass Company, found in the Imperial Catalog. Shield and urn vase, the only one that I know of, marigold, just a lovely vase. I will turn it so you can see the shield. In this frame we see Imperial's smooth panels in teal or celeste blue. This large marigold vase with the bluish top is Spiderweb by the Dugan Art Glass Company. Spiral X, turns to the left, maybe English, maybe Dugan, in purple glass. In this frame we see Spiral and Diamond Fan by McKee, marigold. Nice miniature, quite rare. And here we see Standard, depicted in the Heart Tongue series books, on a silver holder, a lily of marigold, perhaps Dugan. And here we see the rare green Starbright vase by the Eagle Glass Company. Stars emanate all the way up around the French scroll at the top. Highly iridized. In this frame we see the Imperial Star, and here we see the Star and File Celery vase by the Imperial Glass Company in pastel marigold. Here we see Jenkins' stippled and stork vase in marigold. It's also the same thing the Golden Flowers is portrayed on. In this frame we see the sunflower and diamond pattern, English Sowerby vase, marigold, very dark, richly iridized, intaglio. Here we see another European vase, this time from Sweden in the Ada Glass Works, in cobalt blue, called Sunk Daisy, another intaglio pattern. We are now looking at Summer Days pattern by Dugan Art Glass Company in marigold. As you can see, the pattern is right side up. However, if you turn it upside down, it becomes the base for a punch set. However, this is a vase, and it's in our films. In this frame, we present Swirl Imperial in smoke. Rather common, but a lovely vase. In this frame we see Fenton's swirled flute pattern as opposed to the paneled vase, which does not rise and swirl in this fashion. This is in emerald green, richly iridized. We will zoom in on the base. This differentiates swirled flute from flute or the Fenton blank. In this frame, we present swirled rib by the Imperial Glass Company in the jack and pulpit shape in smoke, highly iridized. A very lovely vase indeed. You are now looking at the tall hat vase. It's a light glass and it's a light blue barrel base with a rose tinted hat top. Sometimes these are stretched significantly, but this is rather squatty and kind of nice. You are now looking at Tangerine Stretch Vaseline Crimp Vase by the Fenton Art Glass Company. Rather orange in looks, stretchy onion skin along the outer ruffled edge, Vaseline at the bottom or the base glass, and it glows under a black lamp. Here are a pair of Target vases by Dugan. On the left, frosty white, and on the right, peach opal, both highly iridized. You will note in each of the 6 panels there are 5 hobs, which are relatively pulled, but nevertheless hobs, and that becomes the bullseye or the target for which this vase is named. Here in cobalt blue, we see a 17-inch Fenton thin rib vase. It's quite significantly different from Northwood, which we will show next. You are now looking at Northwood's thin rib. 3 pastels. On the left, ice blue. On the right, ice green, and in the middle, Vaseline. The Vaseline truly glows under the black lamp. As you can see, Northwood's thin rib graduates into a mid-size funeral thin rib. This is cobalt blue, highly iridized, much larger vase, sometimes signed, sometimes not. And here we see another shape in the Northwood thin rib. This is the Jester Cap in purple, richly iridized, scarce, and very lovely. In this frame we see thin rib and drape. The alternating panels of thin rib is the drape going one way and then the drape going the other. This Helios green miniature is highly sought after. If you look at it in a funny angle, it sometimes appears to be frog-like and looking back at you. You are now looking at the English thistle vase, as depicted in Edwards. This is a light marigold. The base looks like a meat tenderizer. But if you look at the whole vase, it by itself looks like a large thistle. You are looking at the base of another one-of-a-kind rarities in yellow glass made by Heisey. It's called Thistle and Hobstar panels. Alternating panels of his thistle and hobstars. The ribs that separate it protrude out at near the base of the glass, and on the base there is a candy ribbon crossover pattern, very unusual in Carnival glass vase world. As you can see, this is a quite tall specimen, highly iridized, great clarity, just a beautiful old vase. You are now looking at the lovely ruffled 3-row vase by the Imperial Art Glass Company in marigold, often seen in purple. I shouldn't say often because they're quite rare and they were very difficult to get out of the mold. Another Imperial scarcity, thumbprint in oval. Marigold, ruffled, well iridized. Here we see Top Hat, depicted in the Marion Hartung series. It's a series of 9 bulbs, thin glass, highly iridized, kind of a light blue. You are now looking at Tornado. You're also listening to thunder. A little while ago, you heard a rifle shot. The animals are moving. I hope they are moving quickly. This tornado appropriately is striking toward the ground in this vase in amethyst, highly iridized, beautiful Northwood product. And here are a couple of lovelies in tree trunk. Aqua opal on the right with a beautiful butterscotch top, and on the left Renager blue base with an aqua top. Very unusual but very beautiful vases. Now looking at a mid-sized tree trunk in cobalt blue, very highly iridized, and we will follow that with the funeral vase. And now you can see the huge elephant's foot tree trunk funeral in purple, just a super iridized and lovely vase, very pronounced in its features. You could hang 4 rings off of those knobs on that top part of that tree trunk. You are now looking at tree bark, the jardiniere on the right and the trumpet shape on the left. 2 different shapes in the tree bark pattern by Imperial. We are now looking at the Trians vase as depicted on page 206 in Edwards' Carnival Glass Encyclopedia. This very richly iridized marigold vase is quite rare. English Sowerby. In this frame, we see the jade green tulip-shaped vase, richly iridized, thick, heavy glass, perhaps of the Fenton Art Glass Company. We are now looking at tulip scroll pattern by the Millersburg Art Glass Company in marigold, richly iridized, radium finish, rather rare. Here we see what Edwards calls the urn vase in the Imperial Catalog. This is the white stippled urn vase, lightly iridized. In this frame, we have Northwood's wide panel vase in green, butterscotched at the top. It's got the heavy glass, big Northwood end in the base. You are now looking at wide panel by the Imperial Art Glass Company in smoke. It's a rather tall, mid-sized funeral vase, richly iridized. And here is another wide panel vase by Dugan in peach opal. A lot of opal at the top, but flared nicely, richly iridized. And here is a wide panel by Fenton in ice green, very richly iridized, from a much larger blank than the smaller fluted vase by Fenton. In this frame, we show you wide rib vase by Dugan. This is depicted in Edwards on page 217. This is tightly spiraled to the left from the base to the top. It's a much wider base glass than Spiral X, which has a much narrower diameter. Also, the wide rib has a significant knobby top to each rib, whereas Spiral X comes to points. These rounded knobs that you see in wide rib are probably the second most distinguishing difference between Spiral X and wide rib. Also shown in the new Diamond Dugan production book. And here we see the Dugan Diamond publication from the Indiana, Pennsylvania Glass Company. William Heacock, James Measle have presented a very lovely Carnival glass encyclopedia of Dugan's Carnival glass and art glass. You are now looking at the Woodlands vase. This rare miniature is very beautifully iridized. It's fortunately rich in marigold and most aren't, and it appears to be a product of the Dugan Art Glass Company, especially if one notes on page 83 of the Dugan Diamond book some experimental vases numbered 175, and it would seemingly follow that this vase came from that experimental stage of floral vase in miniatures. And in this frame we see the woodpecker wall vase by Dugan in marigold, again richly iridized. And in this frame we see a very smooth, cylindrical, very tall vase in marigold. It is without pattern and appears to be the blank for the 1927 Cameo line in the Fenton Art Glass Company. And this blank not having a name, we thought after all of the efforts of filming this glass and being the last glass shown, we would call it Zoom. Now that we have run through the alphabet of patterns in Carnival glass, I would like to bring before you some unusuals or some colors or things that you haven't seen. This is a paneled vase by Dugan in camphor glass, which switches to peach opal. Very unusual and worth noting. And here you see the Fenton fine rib vase, but it's in blue Vaseline opalescent. Not often seen. It also glows under the black lamp. And in this frame we present a Northwood pillars and rib in russet or olive green color. It's a 4-pillar vase, but the color hasn't been previously shown. And in the same Northwood pattern, we show a aqua opal pastel. That is, without the marigold or butterscotch overlay. And now you see the Northwood diamond points in lavender, a very, very light purple, unusual in this pattern. And in this frame we present the Northwood tree trunk in purple. However, we present it because of its squatty, non-stretched nature, in which all the hobnails are undisturbed, and therefore it looks like hobnail and squirrel. But it isn't. It is a tree trunk, not swung. And in this frame we see the imperial smooth panels, of which there are many various colors, but this here is in rust. It's a red rust. Lots of onion skin, lots of iridization. Very unusual color vase. I will zoom in at the top so that you can see how pronounced this is. This segue is to show you the beauty of imperial purple. It's illustrated in the left with ripple and on the right with beaded bullseye, both in purple, of course. But these are just great examples of this Imperial Glass Company's art glass. And so I think I'll close for now with a salute to Carnival on the left in ice blue tree trunk, and in the middle from Northwood, ice white frosty drapery, and on the far right, beaded bullseye in lavender. You are now looking at a very recent find, a 6.5-inch Northwood corn vase in the very rare color ice blue. I say rare because even in the Mordini bulletins, none has been sold since 1989, and I find no other listed in the auction sales. Price of these things are quite exorbitant. The iridization is gorgeous, and it is a rather deep ice blue as opposed to the fading, very light ice blue that sometimes gets confused with ice white. But this is of a frosty nature, and the frostiness in the corn section just is another beautiful example of Northwood's artwork. We now show you the Dugan miniature twigs bud vase. As you can see from the measuring stick that it's just a little over 3½ inches tall. It is candy ribbon edged all around. It is not the jack. It's in purple. It has excellent color. Just a beautiful example of this particular pattern by Dugan. In this final frame, as added on January 5, 1994, you see the very rich marigold pebble and fan vase, very thick glass, standing 11½ inches tall, 4¼ inches across the top and across the bottom. The iridescence is on the outside only, very thick glass. It is listed in both Book 8, page 21 by Marion Hartung, and in Edwards' Encyclopedia of Carnival Glass Books. Neither seems to be able to identify the manufacturer. It looks like it might be something made in Czechoslovakia. However, Marion Hartung depicts it as a U.S. type Carnival glass. Certainly old, certainly beautiful, and this is an excellent example of the marigold color. It comes in cobalt blue and in an amber. It prices out at somewhere around $700, $750. I'll try to zoom in on some of the artwork.
addition to the Carnival glass vase collection is this 6-inch, two-handled imperial marigold vase in the interior swirl rib type pattern. This pattern is depicted in the Imperial catalog on page 151. It is not specifically named. It has a number, and in looking through Marion Hartung's books, there is no reference, nor is there a reference found in any of the other catalogs. Usually this handled vase by Imperial has no pattern on the interior, although I have seen a fan vase one previously shown in this presentation, but none of this nature. So it is so long from Silver Lake, New Hampshire, where beautiful clear mountain waters form lovely lakes between the mountains of this lovely northern land. And like the end of any good film, even the lovely outdoor comes to end with the dawning and the dusking of the suns. And so we say thank you again. So long, Mo Myers, Silver Lake, New Hampshire.